There's a Ghost in My Bed by WeirdBeard. It was another hunky-dory late evening in Ponyville, and all was well. Only the quiet breeze and the low chirping of crickets disturbed the silence. Twilight Sparkle was at last asleep from another studious night of reading. Her lungs rose and fell with a steady breathing, as she was peacefully slumbering in the dark. The day had been quite long, and not to mention the evening, and the purple unicorn was plumb tuckered out. Luckily for the mare, her subconscious mind was also rewarding her with a wondrous dream about her future plans. Plans for a gigantic, super mega ultra library that would ultimately surpass all other libraries. The dream was absolutely perfect for the librarian.
Twilight, wake up!
Spike yelled in fright. The little dragon shout caused Twilight to jump out of bed in surprise. While trying to even her breathing, the mare quickly looked around for her assistant and worriedly asked,
What? What's wrong, Spike? Are you okay?
There's a ghost in my bed!
He exclaimed. Twilight blinked several times while trying to process his predicament. She paused before confusedly asking,
There's a what in your bed?
A ghost! You know, spooky, scary, supernatural, all those S words! There's a ghost in my bed!
Spike responded, waving his arms around and frowning. The unicorn heard what he said, but none of it seemed to register at this late hour. Something that Pinky once said about ghosts flashing in her memory for a moment, but it was quickly lost with a yawn. She finally rubbed her eyes and tiredly replied,
Spike, there's no such thing as ghosts.
Spike shook his head quickly.
Yeah, huh? Is there right now, and I really need your help. Come on, Twilight, please!
The little baby dragon pleaded.
It was probably just a bad dream. Just go back to sleep. It's okay.
Twilight laid back down atop her bed, dismissing the silly ideas of ghosts. The little dragon sighed and kicked at the floor before retreating back to his bed. It was silent after that for about 20 minutes. Twilight tossed and turned, but she was finally in a comfortable position and almost fully back to sleep. Now back to that dream about her future super library. A library bigger than the whole castle, filled to the brim with ancient scrolls, spellbooks, current studies, periodicals, and all other marvelous wonders to the unicorn. A light smile crossed her unconscious muzzle as she slept.
Twilight, the ghost is back!
Spike shouted. Twilight shot out her bed like a rocket, once again brought back from the dreamland by her little assistant. She groaned as she felt her neck pop and quickly rubbed her soft spot.
Spike, I told you that it was just a bad dream.
The unicorn replied with a slight tinge of irritation present in her tone.
But there really is a ghost in my bed! If you would just...
The little dragon began, but was soon interrupted by the exhausted mare.
Spike, there are no ghosts in your bed. There's no such thing. It's just your imagination playing tricks on you.
Twilight stated.
Just go to sleep and you'll be okay.
But...
His response fell on deaf ears, however, as Twilight had once again collapsed back onto her bed. Spike groaned in frustration, but eventually he left her side once again, while grumbling about stubborn mares. Another 20 minutes passed before Twilight as she slowly drifted to sleep. Her pillow had been flipped over several times, the latest rotation finally gaining her the coveted cool side. Everything was just perfect. Her position, the pillow, the bedsheet, everything. Even her muscles seemed to relax completely as she slumped further into the bed. She sighed in satisfaction. While her dream of the library resumed, it slowly began to change. Twilight kept reading every book and morsel of knowledge within, but the walls and the floor morphed around her. Solidified structures strangely changed to thin, weakly supported pages. Suddenly, her attention whipped back to the library itself, and she now found that everything was now literary material. The unicorn raised a brow, absolutely confused at the turn of events. It was then that the dream turned even more strange. Twilight transformed into a book.
Hey, Twilight.
Spike whispered timidly. When the unicorn didn't respond, he gently poked her side.
Hey, Twilight.
Twilight growled angrily and immediately jumped out of bed. She blinked her eyes in the darkness and tried to find the little dragon.
What? What is it, what?
Before the purple unicorn, a gigantic, ghastly-looking monstrosity hovered above the floor. It appeared to be solid and gaseous at the same time, but that detail didn't really matter for the terrified pair now. Spike and Twilight cowered in fear as the frightening abomination just floated there. Plumes of smoke swirled around the form while disgusting, thick veins pulsed in its central mass. 3 dark red eyes glared down at them, while anything else that would resemble a face was masked behind a toothy grin. Sharp, pointing fangs and canines protruded from its mouth, and it steadily neared Twilight and Spike. A guttural growl resonated from the monstrous ghost, as it eventually stopped directly before them. An eerie silence filled the room, while an intense cold surrounded the pair. Twilight hugged her little assistant a little closer to her. Both of them were now shaking. The purple unicorn stuttered a few times, but managed to ask,
What do you want?
The unholy terror remained silently floating, its mouth also maintaining that creepy smile. But a voice from nowhere and everywhere echoed around them. What did the ghost say to the bee? Both Twilight and Spike paused, unsure of how to reply. However, Spike gathered the courage after a while to finally respond.
We don't know what.
The ghost somehow smiled even wider and began shaking. It leaned down and looked back and forth between the dragon and the unicorn. Finally, it replied, Booby! The end.